The host of the More We Know podcast for the Gen Zs and Millennials. I know I say it's for the Gen Zs and Millennials. And yeah, although that is the focus, this podcast is really for anyone. But I look back at my time in college and I wish I had something like this. I wish I had a podcast where I could learn from mentors or experts in their industries, or, fellow Gen Zs that are talking about real world topics, that are talking about what is a credit card APR, what is investing, what does all this mean? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, the More We Know podcast. My name is Meer. I'm your host for this podcast, where we aim to provide you mentorship from experts around the world in about an hour or so or less. Today we got Joel Freeman, a Beachbody celebrity coach and trainer who is the founder of the Lift 4 program and the program called 10 Rounds. He's also been with Beachbody for some time now, and he is a phenomenal individual. I'm so thankful for bringing him on this podcast because here we have an industry where there's so many trainers, right? He is a celebrity trainer who has authority in the industry, who has phenomenal programs. I have personally been doing Lift 4. I'm down 15 pounds, guys, in the month of January and a little bit from December. So still got to get to it, guys. Still got to lose the rest of my 100-pound weight loss journey. But the point is, thanks for tuning into the More We Know podcast. Please enjoy this episode with Joel Freeman, who I know you guys have seen his face. Like, this guy's programs are awesome. He is a phenomenal individual. He is hilarious. He's just good-hearted, and that's the amazing thing with someone of his character and class, where he's up there with all these followers and what he's doing. The fact that he's so good-hearted, and he spent all this time in this interview giving you guys gems on gems on gems. It was one of the most eye-opening interviews I've done, and I've done a lot of different interviews. This one was so eye-opening, and it was so different being with a fitness expert like himself who has such credibility in the industry. So shout out to Joel Freeman. Make sure you guys go follow him on social media. Check out his workouts on Beachbody On Demand. So you can actually go to the Beachbody On Demand website and check his workouts out for yourself.
Welcome to the More We Know podcast with your host and social media influencer, Meer. Gen Zs and Millennials.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the More We Know podcast. I'm your host, Meer. The goal here is within an hour or less to get you guys insight and education so you can take actionable insight through your life. We didn't have, a lot of people don't have mentors. We were blessed to have them. And today we got Joel Freeman, who's a Beachbody celebrity trainer. Joel's passion has always been teaching and showing others how to live healthy and fulfill their lives with the career. He has fulfilled his life with a career in health and fitness industry that spans over 15 years. One of his most popular workouts, Lift 4, which, to let you guys know, I am doing now, and I'm documenting it for my last 100 pounds. So shout out to him. He's been kicking my butt.
Yeah, man.
Joel, thanks for being on today.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me, man. I love that Lift 4 is kicking your butt.
Yeah. So I wasn't happy to see you, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
So
you're always happy when it's over, right?
That's
yeah. During it, and that's what I tell people. Like, you're not gonna like me during, but you're gonna like it when it's over and you see the results for sure.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of people, they might listen to this and already know your face. You're so popular on Beachbody. You're a Beachbody celebrity trainer. You have multiple workouts out there that are absolute hits, and you're so inspirational. But for the people that are just tuning in and might be like, okay, this is interesting. What is this episode about? Who is Joel Freeman? Can you give us a background?
Who's this guy? This is he just looks like another dude. And I am pretty much just another guy out there. So I've been in health and fitness now since I was 19. I'm 38, so I'm going on almost 20 years of being in this industry, and have been in every facet of the health and fitness world. Started at the front desk when I was 19 at a gym in West Texas, and just worked my way up, and have just been in every facet of the gym world, the business side of it. Worked for the Washington State Department of Health for 4 years, so I've been on the government side of it. I've seen it all with health and fitness. And when the opportunity presented itself to have this position, Beachbody Super Trainer, celebrity trainer, I definitely jumped on it and knew it was a great opportunity. And my whole thing as I've progressed over the years was always I always wanted to try to reach more people with helping them, but helping them in a very realistic standpoint. And this is something that I learned over the years personally as well, that health and fitness it doesn't look the same on every single person. It looks different. And so what I've enjoyed doing, especially since I've been with Beachbody now and done these programs, is creating programs that mold into people's lives versus the other way around. And I think that's really been the biggest ticket with why Lift 4 is working so well, and why my new one, 10 Rounds, has worked really well too, is I just want to keep creating programs that people can come in, you can get Meer, you can get in there, you get it done, and you get out and you live your life. And because that's what I do. So aside from health and fitness, I mean, that's my job. It's I'm passionate about my job, but it's not my passion in terms of what I do on a daily basis. I love to ride dirt bikes and anything with a motor and an engine. I love to build things. So I want to get my workout and be done and move on and go out to the garage and build something. So, and I think a lot of people are like that. So I think that's why I relate to people from that realistic standpoint versus saying, eat kale and work out 3 hours a day. I don't like kale and I don't want to work out 3 hours a day. So it's been fun. It's been good to really connect with people and really try to help them and find a very realistic fitness path for them.
Absolutely. And I think, I lost 100 pounds about 2 summers ago. So I've already been through it, still got this last 100. But these last 6 months, I've struggled so much and I couldn't find anything. I could not find anything. Everything they want you to work out an hour. Like you said, kale, super low carb. You can't have anything. So it was exactly. You're out. But your workouts, I started doing them because I have that Beachbody subscription, and I went to your page and I looked at the Lift 4, and your workouts 30 minutes top, like they're quick. I'm done.
Yeah, 30 to 40 minutes. I think the longest one was like 38, 39. Yeah. And yeah, that was something. So Lift 4 was definitely new and different, and not from the time standpoint, because there's workouts out there that are 20 minutes long, so that it's not that it wasn't the time, but it was everything put together. And that's what Lift 4 is all about. So it's 4 days a week. It's an 8-week program, 4 days a week. And the workouts 30 to 40 minutes, because that's realistic, I feel, for people. And, again, we're talking about people who have the jobs and the life and the just reality of your day to life. Like, just even before this year, let's just take COVID out for a second. Let's just talk about day to day, what your life entails. And for so many people, that's the number one barrier to working out and sticking with a consistent health and fitness regimen is time. So I really wanted to tackle that. People, the team at Beachbody, they were all over it. We loved it. And we really just collaborated and made it look so good. And like you said, you get in, you get out, and it's effective too. I mean, we made sure it's, as always, we make sure things are science-based and they're backed. And I went old school on that one. I'm just an old school lifting guy. I like to lift dumbbells and put them down, like pick things up and put them down. And I didn't want to go too complicated on it. So it's weightlifting 101, and that's what works. Yeah. And on top of it, we're doing the weightlifting, and there was some HIIT incorporated in it too, as well. So we're burning that fat. Yeah, high intensity interval training is the best. Honestly, it's the biggest bang for your short buck. It's how you can get in there and you can do, can really get effective cardiovascular results in a shorter amount of time. So that's why we went with a high intensity interval train. That doesn't mean high impact. It's just high intensity, which means short spurts of duration exercises followed by very small breaks, as you've discovered. And then but again, then you're done. And there's always core. We always got to do core. Yeah. I hear your voice. It's there every time. Back to core. You're like, oh my God, I'm hearing him in my workout, and now I'm hearing him on the podcast. And it's like, God, I can't get away from this. Can't get rid of him, right? Yeah. So go back to your story. You were 19 working front desk, and I think a lot of people can resonate with that, because a big part of this audience is Gen Zs and millennials. So the younger audience. So they might be in high school. They might be working at LA Fitness front desk. Yeah. I mean, you are such an inspiration because you were at that position, and now you're one of the most famous Beachbody coaches. And I know you might not even want to say that word famous, but you really are. Like you like, your face is out there, and it's phenomenal what you're doing. Yeah. Just talk to us about that transition. Man, I get asked that question a lot in terms of, from a lot of people saying, hey, how do I get to where you are? And I wish I had a better answer for it. The one thing, the first response I always had was, I don't know. I really didn't. And I say that because I didn't have any aspirations for this. I just was going for the job. I took that front desk job because I just needed a job. I was bartending before that. And in Texas, you can bartend at 18. So I was bartending before that and doing, that was at night. And then during the day, I was framing homes and doing construction. So I just needed a job. But over the years, what I've learned, and this is what, the one piece of advice I can give to people, is to just continue to have conversation and create connections. And it's not about trying to leverage connections, or it's not trying to, meet someone just because of what they can do for you, because you never know. Like the people that I've met over the years now in this industry, and this, I believe this spans across any industry, where it's kind of incestuous in terms of like, this person used to work for this company and now they work for this company and then they work for this company. That's exactly how health and fitness is, where the people that I worked with a long time ago, either at Gold's Gym or Les Mills, are now in a different company. And that's honestly how a lot of the opportunities came for me was because I created just great working relationships with so many people every time I had a job, that then someone else would leave or they would go over here. And then when another position would come up, they would think of me. And that's honestly how I ended up, as a director for Gold's Gym here in Southern California. I was the Group X director and then the marketing director at 28. So, and that's because of somebody that I had worked with in a previous job 8 years before that. And it was just having those, having that communication and just being a good, just easy to work with, easy to get along with, which I don't think is hard for most people. And just having conversations. That's what I tell people, is to never be afraid to have conversations and just keep lines of communication open, because that's honestly, that is no BS how I ended up where I am.
Yeah, that's powerful. So you're basically leveraging the fact with that quote, for example, your network is your net worth in a way.
Yeah, because look, you can't, there's not a lot of jobs you can do without people. It eventually, even if you don't need somebody for that job, you're going to need somebody to purchase that or what you just bought or something like that. So people are always going to be there, right? And it goes, at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. It's all about networking, and I did that. This was before LinkedIn, this was before social media. So I was networking before any of that ever existed. And now I think it's easier than ever. And in some ways it's easier. In some ways, I think it might even be more complicated, because the pool is so deep, so to speak, with so many people out there now. But it doesn't mean to not have those conversations and just keep putting yourself out there.
Right. I mean, and social media was how we connected, able to get on this podcast.
Right. Exactly.
So you got to the Beachbody position. Can you walk us through how you got to Beachbody exactly?
Yeah, sure. So I was working for Gold's
Yep.
Gym, and I had, before that, even before Gold's, to get back up a little further. So I was working at a gym in West Texas. Actually, I was working for the Washington State Department of Health. I was teaching group exercise classes, and was teaching the Les Mills formats, body pump, body combat. It's Les Mills is a group exercise choreography company out of Auckland, New Zealand. They've been around for years. They're still the best group exercise company out there in terms of training and everything. Started teaching classes for them in 2008, and so was doing a lot of work with them. Les Mills and Beachbody teamed up. Just happened to be, it goes back to those connections things, just happened to be over in New Zealand working for Les Mills. Was cast in that Beachbody collaborative project. That was my first in with Beachbody. Then, so I kind of started doing some stuff with them, but then that partnership dissolved. But by then I had gotten the job at Gold's Gym. And again, through connections, we brought Beachbody back in at Gold's, to try, they were working on their group exercise department. So then we started working with them on that. And so it was just, I was always kind of there and always talking to people, and again, just having conversations and everything. I'd see the CEO of Beachbody in meetings and this and that. And always was just, I was like, hey man, how's it going? When are we going to do something? Let's do something, just throwing myself out there and just never really knowing what it meant. I wasn't saying, let's do something in terms of this position. I was talking more along the lines of what we were working on, right, for Beachbody Live. And then in 2015, he called me. I was marketing director for Gold at the time, called me up and said, hey, you got a great in with our network already. The coaches love you. And, what do you think about coming over and helping us develop, we want to do a mixed martial art training program. I said, sure, let's try it. And that ended up being with my teammate, Jericho McMatthews, and I. We created Core to Force, which is a 30-day MMA training program, but no equipment, body weight only. It was a challenging program. And it took us about a year and a half to get it done, because it was our first home program that we had written. And it was kind of crazy. That was like right when things were transitioning from DVDs into digital world. So we were still in the DVD model, which is a whole slew of things that you would never normally think about now, like disk space, and only so many workouts can fit on so many DVDs, right, to keep the price point low. So it was a bunch of crazy stuff. So we did that, and then it did good. It did pretty well considering at the time that we launched it. And then just at that point, I was in the network, and the Beachbody coaches knew me and enjoyed me. And so Carl, then the CEO, asked if what I would wanted to do, if I could pick anything and do like a passion thing. I was like, dude, I want to do a 4-day-a-week program. and really create something. And then he and I went back and forth. Like one day it was 5 and one day it was 3. And then we ended up on 4. And that's how these programs usually come to fruition. And it just, that's my baby. Like that's my firstborn, I so to speak, is Lift 4 because it's 2.5 years later, it's still one of the top viewed programs on Beachbody On Demand. I think it was a second top viewed program 2.5 years later.
Wow.
Just last month. So it shows that we did it right. And hopefully we keep doing those things right as well.
Right. And how does that feel? You came up with the idea, you put it into fruition, and now number 2 most viewed.
It's amazing, man. I mean, it feels great, but it's always great when you see something that's old, so to speak, because 2.5 years is a while for a program to be out and still be up there. But for me, it's more of a pat on the back in terms of like, yeah, we got that right. You know what I mean? And it's not just, okay, great, we got people doing it. We're getting new people in. And it goes back to what I said at the very beginning. I was just wanting to reach more and more people, right? And so the fact that, and that was my hope with Lift 4, was the fact that people like yourself or anybody out there would look at this and say, I think I could do that. 4 days, I could do that. Like, 4 days at third, let's just say it's basically 160 minutes a week. So, you do the math on that. It's like 2.5 hours, a little bit more than 2.5 hours, a full week worth of working out. And that's really where I wanted people to say, I can do that. And, the fact that it's still up there shows that people are saying that. And that's what feels good, is the fact that we're still getting people in there.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you guys, because I'm doing the program now, and I'm happy to say I'm down around 3 pounds now already with the program. And that obviously there's a combination of food as well too, but it's so doable and manageable, and you're so motivating in it too. You throw in some jokes and it keeps it going.
Excuse me. Yeah. The bad dad jokes. I'm so bad at those. I'm blaming it at father. Just got stuck with them, but it's also, and we filmed it differently. We filmed that program. It was new for a lot of people when they saw it, because for those who haven't seen it, I don't work out in the program. And that was a whole new weird thing. People were like, why is he just walking around these cast members talking? Well, we filmed it personal training style because, as a personal trainer, that's what you do. You don't work out with your client. You watch their form and their technique. And this was something that really, I was excited about, to film it this way. And I fought really hard. A lot of people didn't want it, they had never seen that before. So they're like, you got to do the workout. I'm like, why? Let's change this up. And so I fought really hard for it. I'm glad we got it done that way. And some people get annoyed by it. They're like, oh man, he never shuts up. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm telling you a bunch of good stuff. I'm not just telling you about my dog or my cat. Like, I'm telling you, this is how you should be feeling it, where you should be feeling it, and all these things like that. So, it was, and then, of course, obviously got to throw a couple of dad jokes in there, but it was just meant to be, it was also meant to take away that intimidation factor for people who have never lifted weights before. And so again, that's again why I went back to the very basic weightlifting 101, which is just 3 sets of 10 hypertrophy training, dumbbells only, no special equipment required. I went really, really simple, simplistic and effective in that.
Yeah. And speaking on this, what's your advice to someone who might be listening to this now and saying, you know what, I like Joel, I want to go try this workout out, but I'm a little bit scared. What's your advice to them?
I get it. Most people are, right? I mean, anything new is scary. And, and Lift 4 is no exception. I mean, even my new program is a boxing program. That's really scary for a lot of people who have never boxed before. Right. But like anything, my job and our job at Beachbody is to set people up for success. It's not to try to set people up for failure, or to say, hey, look at me, this is how much I can lift, or look how fast I can box. It's not about that. It's our job, and mine especially as the trainer for these programs, is to set people up for success. So that's why there's all those materials on in the workout program itself. So there's always a getting started video where I break down, for Lift 4, for instance, it's how to Lift 4. Little pun there, and I walk you through how to choose your weight and where you should be feeling. It's very much based on perceived exertion. So this is how you should be feeling when you lift, and this is how to know if it's too heavy. This is how to know if it's too light. So a lot of those, you just have to. Those getting started videos are huge, especially if you've never done anything before like this. Even people who have said, "Well, I used to lift weights." I'm like, "Great, watch this anyway, because you've never done it this way." And so that's my advice to people, is to always use. It's not read the instructions, but at least just watch the video. That's all you got to do. Like, I like to skip instructions myself, but when it comes to something that is important, I I'm definitely going to look at least the getting started section. And they're not very long videos. And then the other piece is just to like, and you mentioned, you started Lift Forward and you've only lost a couple of pounds. Well, Lift Forward, when you start weightlifting, especially, we're not just going for weight loss, we're going for full body composition change. So, we're looking to take the fat on your body and the muscle on your body. If your muscle's here and your fat's, or excuse me, it's the way, if your muscle's here and your fat's here, we want to do this to it, right? So we're switching out that composition, and that takes time. So, the first couple of weeks, a lot of people might see the scale even go up, and that usually freaks them out. But when you start weightlifting for the first time, you have muscle inflammation, so your body's retaining a little bit more water. There's all these things that happen, and you can just Google it. Just Google what happens to your body when you lift weights, and you'll see it. And I just tell people to calm down. Don't get on the scale for a while. That's why we always look at other forms of measurement, like actually using measurement tape and things like that to check your inches and stuff and your strength. But I promise you, is if you stick with it consistently, you'll start to see those body composition changes for sure.
Got it. That's great advice. And it's refreshing for me too, because I'm a little demotivated within my number wise, but it'll get there.
Yeah, dude, I get like, we have a scale. I don't get on it because it can change so quickly. And the few times that I do, I've done just for like posting purposes and things like that. But look, I can go box for an hour and lose 4 pounds of water weight. Like, it's that easy. So that your weight fluctuates so much. And from a day-to-day basis, I feel, look, one good poop is going to change your weight. So I just always feel like you gotta go in for the long term and look at like week to week. Take it week to week. Don't look at day to day. Take it week to week and look at those other forms of measures of success. Going up in your weights. How do your clothes fit? How do you feel if you're sore? Some people don't feel sore. That's okay. But like all of a sudden, next thing you know, the next week you're lifting more. So there's just a lot of different ways of looking, of measuring success. And the scale is definitely not on the top of the list in my opinion.
Yeah. That's good to know. And that makes sense. So on top of that, let's say, they go through with it. They're signed up for your program. They're getting ready to get started. But now on top of it, because humans is nature, a lot of us, we have excuses. You might not, but we some of us got excuses.
I have a lot. Trust me. I got
them too.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah. So let's say someone is, they just finished work and they're tired. They're tired to get in there. What do you say to them?
Look, at the end of the day, it comes down to, how important is it to you? There are those days, and I get it. I've had shitty jobs where I've had to get up. That first front desk job, when I was 19 was the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift. It was the graveyard shift. So I've had crappy jobs. I've had crappy times. I've had to get up. When we shoot stuff, I'm up all hours of the day or hours. 10 rounds, we shot a lot of it at night. Because we were going for the skyline shots. So some of those mornings, I was going to bed 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. and then getting up and doing it again. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to what's important. And, everyone has the same, we've heard those cliches, but everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. Something I heard a long time ago that has stuck with me, actually back on that front desk job. Make the story very quickly is, across the street from the gym that gym that I worked at was a hospital. And so I was, the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift, obviously we had a lot of doctors and nurses and stuff coming in and off a shift, right? Working out. And I remember this was like a 4 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time it was. And someone was actually there to cancel their membership. And as I was filling out the paperwork, this doctor walked in and he was a regular, and he kind of heard what was going on. And this person that was canceling says, I just don't have the time to work out. And the doctor turned around and just kind of looked at this person and was like, I just got off an 18-hour shift. I'm here. And that person didn't like that. They kind of left in a huff. But he told me, I'm only 19. I'm still learning. I'm green on the gills. And he's like, man, I tell you what, there's always someone busier than you that makes the time to work out. And that has stuck with me. And it's really true. There's always someone out there busier that will find the time. So maybe it means you don't work out after work. Maybe it means you just got to get up a half hour earlier in the morning. If you get up at 5, that sucks. You got to get up at 4:30, but that's the nice thing about Live 4. You don't have to do it 6 days a week. You do it 4, so you just got to find, it always comes down to also finding what works for you. And that's, again, with Live 4, I want to make a program where you don't mold your life into the program. You mold the program into your life. You figure out what those days, it doesn't have to be Monday through Thursday or Monday. It could be Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, like 4 days is doable. And that's, I really want to get rid of those barriers. So, but yeah, I've got the excuses too, man. There's a difference of a photo shoot ready, Joel, and because that's not what I want to walk around looking like, because that means I'm not enjoying the things that I enjoy. I'm a big burger buff, and whiskey and bourbon, I love whiskey and bourbon, man. I have one almost every night. And when I'm in shoot mode, I don't, and I hate it. So I've got all those same excuses, but when it comes time to buckle down, and if I got to get something done, then I got to give those things up. And, but I know it's not long-term, and it's just to get something done.
Yeah. And Joel, you bring up that point. When it's time to buckle down, you get serious. You love the burgers. You love the bourbon. Absolutely. Yeah, and now I kind of want a burger. But so with that being said, someone might be watching this now. It might be January now. It might be 2021. We're setting our resolution goals for 2021. How do we finally establish a habit, the 2021 habit, and stick with it this time? So how do we make that goal in 2021 and finally this year accomplish that goal? Yeah,
look, resolutions are made to be broken. In my book, I don't make resolutions every year, because it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like we all look at this year. We film. Perfect example is we filmed my last program, 10 rounds. We filmed at the beginning of this year. We filmed it in 6 different cities across the country. It was amazing. We were on the road for 5 weeks straight. We started here in LA and then did the other 5 all across the country. We wrapped in Philly. We wrapped that program on a Thursday. I got home on a Saturday, and everything locked down on Tuesday. Like, we just so lucky to get it done. And we had all these plans, like promo and another tour, and I was going to fly around the country and do all this press and this and that. None of it happened. And, this day and age, that's a very extreme version, obviously, an example of, I think we're going to start to see some amazing changes happen in next year. But I don't think you should make resolutions on things where other outside factors can influence them, just because you don't know what's going to happen. But it just comes down to it's like, don't wait for a resolution to start. Just be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to look this way anymore. So just start it, just do it. And it doesn't mean you have to, on Monday, give up all the fun food, work out for 2 hours a day, 6 days. So it doesn't mean you have to do all these things. You just have to start just chipping away at it, right? So if food is a problem, okay, cool. Let's start with that. And then let's figure out what the thing is. It's not a mystery anymore. We all know what we should and shouldn't eat, right? So if you're drinking 6 Cokes a day, taper it down to 2 and do that for a week. And then the next week, whatever it is. So just start to whittle away at it, as opposed to trying to go all or nothing. I think that's a lot of the issue with people that make resolutions, and they're like, that's it, I'm doing it. And they go all in, and it's so much that it's not even remotely sustainable, and they burn out so quickly, and then they feel they failed, and then they quit. And nobody ever wants to have that feeling of failure. So I just say, look at those small things. Don't make a resolution, just make a change. And it's not about like, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. Just like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. I did that. I got that down. I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. I got that. And I do this. And the more you start whittling away at it, the next thing you know, you're like, all right, now I'm feeling good. And now I'm feeling ready. And now you can move on to the next thing. And that type of whittling, so to speak, really leads to that consistency. And that's something that I've preached for nonstop, is like, you got to find what works for you personally. My 2 forms of exercise are weightlifting and boxing. Those are my 2 things. I look forward to that. Like, I love going to my boxing gym, knowing I'm going to get my ass whooped. And I love it. I can't wait to go back. I go back, what have I got? Saturday is my next session. I can't wait. It's Wednesday and I'm already looking forward to it. Yeah. If you told me I had to go run, I wouldn't do it. I would find every excuse in the book not to go run. I hate running. I think it's horrible, but there's some people that love it. And that's the great thing about what we do at Beachbody. There's all these programs for everything that people love to do. And there's there's all these different options. And that's what you got to find, the things that speak to you, that you actually look forward to as well.
Yeah. And in your experience as an expert in your field, how long does it take for people to develop those habits where it finally clicks? Like, man, I got it. Now I'm locked in. I'm in the routine.
There's all sorts of studies out there. And, I think they say like 3 weeks or 2 weeks or something. You know what? Look, if it's something that you enjoy, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. But it's going to be a lot shorter than something that you hate. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to know, like, try it for a week. if you don't like, if you do something for a week and at the end of the week, you're like, meh, then you probably don't like it. So move on to the next thing. That's why Beachbody On Demand has thousands of hours of different programs in there. So you can try a week of it. Don't feel like you have to stick with it. Try this for a week. I don't like it. Try this for a week. I don't like it. Eventually you will find something, because, and like, I knew that I love boxing the minute I did it and tried it out. I knew, when it came into weightlifting, it wasn't just like, I didn't like powerlifting. I didn't like, I tried CrossFit years ago. It hurt my back because of it. And so I knew I didn't like that, but I like just old school dumbbell lifting. And I knew that when I did it, I'm like, oh, I like this. And so I think it's pretty, you'll know is when it speaks to you.
Yeah, that's powerful, because a lot of us try so many things and then we realize, oh shoot, we don't really like this. So that's powerful.
Yeah. When you don't like something, you will find every excuse not to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not making those excuses with Lift 4. I love doing it.
I don't know. Right.
So you talk about boxing. Do you do fights and whatnot too, or no?
No, they say they don't want me to get hit in the face. It says something about my moneymaker. No. So no, I don't. I have sparred. I do a lot of what's called body sparring, where it's just, from the, chin down. So we're just taking body shots instead of face shots. I have done full sparring before, full headgear, mouthpiece, everything. It hurts. I didn't like it. I got popped and I was like, I don't think I like this. Yeah. But I love the feeling of the challenge. I'm drenched every single time. And my trainer, she's we call her the Iron Leprechaun. She's from Ireland, and she just beats the crap out of me. And we go body spar, and she hits me, I'll leave a shot open. She gets me right in the kidneys, and I love it. It's I absolutely love it. So I don't think I'd ever actually do any real sparring. Or real fights for sure. I wouldn't do real sparring. Maybe if I don't have to make any more programs, I might get into it, but I don't need, like, this thing's big enough. I don't need it to get like bigger or broken or something.
Need to protect the face at all costs.
Yeah. This is our big old Russian nose, man. It's only going to get bigger as I get older. So I got to do everything I can so it doesn't get bigger.
And you're 38, you said 37?
Yeah. 38.
You look like you're 26.
Thanks, man. This is the product of no children.
That's the secret.
2 cats, a beautiful wife and no children. So this is that product.
Can't forget the cars. I saw you posting about the cars too.
The car, the dream car I just got yesterday. 1969 Mustang Mach 1.
Congrats. That was a dope car.
Man.
That was sick.
Yeah,
there was something you posted about the car that kind of hit hard, where I wanted to a little bit actually touch on the podcast. You talked about, were you getting some negative, like some hate on the comments?
There's always going to be one, right? And
it's always
oddly, funny enough, there was I don't get a lot on my social media. I think a lot of that is because I'm what you see, and like what you see on my social media is this is me, this is my life. And I've made it very clear. I'm like, look, I'm just sharing my life. I just try to be motivational and uplifting for people. And, that's it. And if they don't like it, move on. I'm not going to, and if there's a comment that I don't like, I delete it. It's my page. I can do whatever the hell I want. I don't leave it. So I don't get a lot of them, but my wife got one, because she was sharing the stories, obviously, of the car coming off the trailer and this and that last night. And so someone commented of how, we should be, it's like, we're in a pandemic and we should be focusing more on helping others and this and that. And, she didn't, I was like, don't respond to her. And then, but, I was thinking about it. And so I just felt it was a good opportunity to just kind of share my stories. Like, look, everybody, to each their own. Everybody's always going to have an endeavor or an opinion or a viewpoint that is based on their own personal scenarios and their own personal circumstances. And, what social media shows is a very, very superficial window and very, one quick view into somebody's life. And you have no idea what I do on the rest of the day. And so if I'm just showing you something that I think, again, it's all about, interesting people. So if I post something about, I think people are going to enjoy this car, I'm going to post it. It doesn't mean that we don't do anything else. And it's not mean we have to defend it, but it's just something that's like, look, if you don't like it, just move on, man. And because that person, I could have easily gone like, okay, cool. Did you know that in earlier this year, we raised almost $50,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters? No, she probably didn't know that, So, and does she know that I'm a big brother mentor and I've had the same guy for 5 years and now he's 12 years old and we still FaceTime every week. I mean, they don't know this stuff, So it's not about having to defend yourself. And I don't feel like I need to, because I know what I do and I know that I'm a good person. I know my wife's a good person. And just because and on top of that, we're still helping commerce, and we're happy that we can. And, we're happy to keep people in business by buying things and trading things and selling things and this and that. So at the end of the day, there's just always going to be people that are unhappy and they don't, and just because they don't agree with you doesn't mean that you're wrong. And I've told people this for years, like, number one, I'm never going to argue with someone about their opinion, because there's no winning there either way. Because if it's an opinion, I'm not going to try to change your opinion. And number two, at the end of the day, it's just, to each their own. And if it's something that you don't agree with, then just stop following. Just move on, man. Good Lord. There's plenty of other pages to follow that you'll agree with. So it was interesting, but I didn't lose any sleep on it. I'll tell you that.
See, the thing, Joel, right there is we live in a generation now, because I'm around Gen Zs all the time. We live in a generation where you get the unfollow, someone doesn't answer your DM, or someone leaves a comment, and it kills your vibe. It just kills your vibe completely. This is my generation. We always get, so I think you provide a lot of insight there, because people want to quit when they hear things like this. Yeah,
man, it's amazing. Look, I'll get, hundreds and hundreds of comments on a post, and they're all completely uplifting and amazing and way to go and blah, blah, blah. And it is amazing what the power of one negative comment will do. It'll stick in you and it'll piss you off the rest of the day, right? It'll ruin that whole post. I started to fall into it, like everyone else was, I think, a few years ago. And then finally just one day I was like, wait a minute, this is my page. I can do, like, why am I letting someone else ruin my vibe on my page? It says Joel Freeman Fitness. Like, this is mine. So since then, if they make a comment I don't like, that I don't feel belongs on that, I just delete it. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because again, it's my page. I can do whatever I want with it. So, we get in, because we do travel, and we've been going, making an effort this year to, we go down to Cabo a lot. And one of the reasons we were going to Cabo is because we're actually around less people down there than we are in LA. I live in LA. It's been crazy here, right? So we've been actually trying to get out and stay away. But we get those comments all the time, if we post something like, oh, must be nice, you're on the beach, I just delete it. Yeah. There's nothing positive, there's nothing useful, there's nothing constructive that comes out of that comment. So I just delete it. And what about I feel great.
Yeah. What about DMs? Do you ever get DMs or DM requests of people like, you suck, or I hate you, or your program, or whatever?
I don't. I don't know why, because I talked to my other trainer team, and I don't know if it's just because the difference of what people are willing to send a female versus a male. And I'm totally speculating at this point, because I know my female trainers, they've shown me some, comments and messages they've gotten before DMs. I'm just like, holy shit, like that was off the rails, man. Yeah. But I've never gotten anything like that. And every now and then I'll get someone saying like, oh man, you drink a lot considering you're supposed to be into fitness. And I just don't even, I'm like, never said I didn't. So I don't worry about those things, again, because like that person, what are they looking at one post for 1 second and they know nothing about me. So I don't let any of that happen. I don't let any of that bug me. But I also think a lot of it too is, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, and I think you agree with this. What you see, man, like what I post is exactly who you're talking to right now. There's nothing different.
Yeah, I can attest for that. You're literally the exact same you are in the workouts. So
and the workouts, right? Yeah. There's no different voice. There's no makeup. Although they sometimes make me put makeup on just so you know, all shiny, but I hate makeup. It's like what you see is there's no Botox here. This is
natural. This is me.
Yeah, this is all me.
Yeah. So let's talk about in terms of Beachbody. There's
sure.
There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of personal trainers. The world that look at Instagram filled with so many trainers. You got into your Beachbody position. How competitive is this space for someone that wants to become a super coach like yourself on Beachbody? Right. Isn't it very competitive to get into?
Yeah. I mean, look, it goes back to I can't tell someone how they can become a Beachbody super trainer. I can't,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's not my decision, and there's no formal application process. It comes down to the CEO of the company and his team always looking at talent and this and that. It just happens to be, right place, right time. The cool thing is, past that though, in the world that we are with digital, what you can do now on Instagram, and now you have paid sites. Even though I've seen a lot of trainers even using, was it Patreon, and OnlyFans to start selling programming. So there's a lot of different ways you can do stuff. YouTube has paid stuff. There's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of ways to monetize this business. And I was on a call yesterday and doing another podcast, and they asked me this kind of same question, but like, do I feel that there's competition, like that competition hurts us? I'm like, no, because we still, I base it looking at stats, and the stats that we have shows that obesity is still increasing. So that shows that we've got plenty of people out there to go after. So I'm not worried. I don't think that the market is saturated. I think that anybody can go out and do it. And my advice is, if you want to do it, that's awesome, but really find your niche. Find what is it that you want to do. Don't just be like, I want to do a workout program. Okay, great. But what is it? Like, what is it? What makes it different? And what do you think about it could make someone who's never worked out before look at that and say, I can do that. I want to do that. So, you got to set yourself apart a little bit. You have to make it kind of the new shiny object, so to speak, but you got to make it to where someone looks at it and says, wow, that looks fun. And then they start doing it, and then they'll stick with you. So, but no, I'm not worried competition wise. I think it's a great market to be in. And there's plenty of people to go around. So many people need our help, and we've just nipped the top of the iceberg right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so in general, if you look at statistics, around the average personal trainer makes around 30 to 40,000 a year, just from a financial perspective. At what point does a personal trainer that is chasing their dream, they want to, they aspire to be like you, I don't want to use the word throw in the towel, the phrase, but at what point do you get realistic where, hey, maybe I should try something else?
I think it's a personal thing. Okay. 30, those numbers are very much gym based. But that world is changing right now too. And we don't know when it's going to go back to normal, where, it's even, we just don't know. I don't even want to speculate. It could be a year, and coming from the gym world, I have no clue how long it's going to be, but it could be a while. But this is a great opportunity. I think if someone is looking to get into that personal training world, that utilize the tools, and the tools that we have right now is the digital age. And I think, utilizing that, I've talked to I got a lot of friends in the industry, obviously, that are doing that. And saw a guy today. I was like, how's it going? He's like, actually really good. He's like, I've never been busier. He's doing Zoom sessions, Zoom personal training sessions. So, there's a lot of opportunity there still for people. And so I don't ever want to say like, well, give it 2 years. And if it doesn't give it, 2 years, then walk out. Because man, I had ups and downs in this career, in this industry for years. And, like 5 years into it, I'm like, all right, this is going to work. And then 6 years into it, I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. And then 7 years into it, I'm like, oh, this did work. So you just never know, but you gotta, if you just keep grinding on it. And again, it goes back to, if you really truly love it, then it's going to be something you want to make work, and you're going to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I love that. And you said you brought up ups and downs in your career. Can you share with us a little bit of some failures that you had, or rejections maybe?
Yeah, I got rejected all the time, man, of applying for specific jobs of, when I was in West Texas, moved up to Washington State, and was up there working for the Washington State Department of Health for 4 years. And, 2 years into it, I'm like, I don't want this job. Like, it was a cubicle job. I hated it. And I knew I was doing good things, but I hated sitting at a desk all day. So it was 2 years, honestly, of trying different places. I would apply different places and all over the country, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll move here. I do that. I was leaving myself open to a lot of places. I got a lot of no's. And so, yeah, I went through a lot of dejections and dejected states in those couple of years. And then, then one day, again, goes back to those connections. The person I hadn't heard from in like maybe 4 years sent me a text and was saying, hey, we got a job opening down here in LA. What do you think? And I went down there for the interview and took it. So you just never know. That's why you got to keep those lines of communication open, keep chatting with people, keep talking with people, because you just never know.
Yeah. And on that concept, what's your best advice to someone dealing with rejection and failure, that feeling of, man, I tried so much, I just want to quit. What's your advice?
Yeah, it's hard. I get it, because I've been there with it, and it doesn't mean you have to give up, if you've gone through it, and there's a lot of things to it, because it's, some people say, well, I've tried everything. Well, it's like you tried 3 things. There's a lot more to go.
Yeah.
But it's, nobody wants to be turned down or turned away. So it can it can kind of creep into you a little bit. But that's also why a lot of people, they find something else to do for a while, or doesn't mean you have to go full time into it. So if you find something else you can do part-time, there's also why a lot of personal trainers also do other things, to make ends meet in the meantime. And then all of a sudden they strike it big. You just never know. You hear that story, a lot of people, they were moved out to California to be famous, and they were a personal trainer and a chef and a waiter. And then they got discovered, and now they're, rich and famous as an actor. You just never know. So sometimes if you just need to take a step back, take a little break, do a different job or whatever, but it doesn't mean you have to give up on it completely. Maybe you just don't put everything into it right then and there.
Yeah, that's great insight. And for the Gen Zs and millennials, a lot of times one of the number one topics they always ask me to talk about is financial health. So that's why I bring on, you're helping us so much with the actual physical health, but I bring on experts in the financial space too. Can you provide us any insight, maybe from yourself, on your financial advice or take for, if you're 21 years old right now?
Oh man. I mean, when I was 21, I wasn't making a lot of money and I was partying a lot. So I was probably doing what a lot of people are doing right now at 21. Right. My 20s, I had no clue. And from what I've heard, not a lot has changed, and not a lot of, in terms of the advice of start saving early and, make sure you get a 401k and all these different things. But when you're not making a lot of money, it's hard to save it. I get that. So if you're barely making ends meet, and then you're not going to just then put your money into a 401k and sit at home twiddling your thumbs, you're going to go out, you're going to see your friends, you're going to party it up, you're going to do these things, which I'm like, dude, and for me personally, I'm like, go after it, because as you start getting older, those hangovers last a lot longer. They don't go away as fast as they used to. It usually takes days now instead of a couple hours. So my advice definitely is to get it in while you're young, but at the same time, just be smart about it. And I think the easiest way I think probably the best way to say it is, don't overextend yourself financially. If I had a son or daughter, that's probably what I would tell them is look, you're not making a lot of money right now. That's fine. But don't overextend, don't live beyond your means in terms of don't try to go get an apartment that's way more expensive. You don't want to worry about rent or a car payment that's unbelievably expensive. I drove a 95 T-Bird in college, and I paid $5,000 cash for it at an auction. And it was fine. I loved it. Put an aftermarket sound system in it, 2 subwoofers in the trunk. I was happy. And I didn't have a car payment. So, but nowadays everybody wants the new shiny thing. And I think, so you got these 18, 19-year-olds going out and getting Beamers and Lexuses and Mercedes, and they have $1,000 a month car payment. I'm like, dude, just go get something that's you can seriously go out and get a $99 a month car payment, and it's a car, and you don't even give a shit about it. And that's what I would tell people, is just don't overextend yourself. So then you're not always strapped for cash, and you're not always freaking out about it. And then and then as you start making a little bit more money, then you get to get a little bit nicer things, and then you start appreciating things more too. Yeah. So that's if I had a kid, that's what I would tell them, is don't overextend yourself, and try not to live too far above your means, because that's how you get in trouble. I did it myself, with credit cards and all that stuff. I went through, it was 22, 23, and went through that whole stage of hey, credit cards, okay, and just started doing balance transfers and all that stuff, and just annihilated my credit. And it took me a long time to build it back up. And so it's stay away from those too. Those are evil. That's
$1 million advice right there. Did you start in your 20s? Did you ever start investing in stocks or real estate or assets outside? No, I had no money to do it. So I mean, look, nobody wants to, but yeah, I lived paycheck to paycheck until I was probably, late 20s, early 30s, and that just was just a reality of my, the industry I was in. And, I made it work. You always make it work. You find the happy hour deals. But no, it wasn't until, honestly, it probably wasn't until the past 5 years. So early 30s, 33, 32, 33, that really started, that I was able
jump in, start getting into that and stuff like that. It might happen earlier for some, it might happen later for some as well. But, you know, when you do get that opportunity, get someone that knows how to do it. Like, that's what I tell people too. Like, you know, some of the new trainers coming in, they're like, well, what do I do? I'm like, hire someone.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I don't want to know tax law and investment law and all this stuff. I hire someone that will do this stuff for me. I just, you know, find someone that you trust and have them help you.
Right. And in your career specifically, I mean, technically you wouldn't even be like W-2 like a lot of people, right? Because you're your independent person.
No, I'm contractor, just like most other people are as trainers and this and that. So again, it goes back to finding someone that knows how to do that stuff and to help you maximize your write-offs and investments and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then is this a myth or is it true? Do you think there's a point? Because a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of 21-year-olds will be like, once I get to 100K a year, I'll be happy. Or once I get to 200K, you know, I made it. Do you ever feel like that? No,
it's bullshit, because you are basing that statement on what you are paying for right now. So, because I said the same thing over the years. But then as you start to make more money, your expenses will increase, because just for sake of, you know, we bought a house. So those increase the expenses, right? You know, it's always going to be those things. But what my wife and I we both have been in those positions where we were strapped for cash over the years and shitty credit and all these different things. And when we got together and, you know, we got together and later in life, which is nice because we'd already kind of gone through those things. So we knew what we didn't want. We knew what we didn't want to repeat. Mm-hmm. And we were like, you know, let's help each other and make sure we're checking each other and not do these things. And so, you know, because of that, it's like, yeah, we could afford a bigger house, but we didn't do it. We wanted some place that allows us to still go travel and things like that. So, no, I don't think there's a magic number, because that number will always change as that number increases a little bit. So, because you're going to get something a little bit nicer car, and all of a sudden your car payment's a little bit more expensive, and then you're going to do this and you're going to do that. So it's always going to be something. But it's just, again, try not to overextend yourself. I think that's honestly the best piece of advice I'd give anybody. Yeah. And at what point would you consider yourself, quote unquote, financially free? I mean, you know, when you don't have any debt, like when you can pay, you know, when you can pay off your credit cards every month, that's awesome. Financially free is probably different for everybody. Like, you know, my wife and I like to travel, and we have bucket list items. And so, you know, last month we went to Africa for 2 weeks, and that was amazing for us. And it was cool because we didn't have to really think about it. Like, we didn't have to plan it out. We just went like, you want to go? All right, let's go. Yeah. And we planned, you know, we left a couple of weeks later. So I think, you know, that's financial freedom, is allowing you to do. It's not about financial freedom to me is not the fact that I'm going out and just spending loads of money. It's allowing us to live our life and do things without freaking out about it, or, you know, whatever it may be. And we have big trips planned, you know, that we're going to wait obviously on, but for us, that's the financial freedom, and also knowing that we're setting ourselves up for the future. So, you know, throwing, you know, as much money as possible into investments and retirement and this and that on top of all of that, like that comes first. Yeah. So then, you know, I want to make it to where when I'm looking at it, and by this point now I have that plan. It's like, okay, if I'm 38, I want to make it to where by the time I'm like 45, if I don't want to work anymore, I don't have to, you know? So that's also part of that financial freedom is setting yourself up, I think, for your future, so you don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. That's powerful. Yeah. Did you catch that March dip then, the March crash in the markets? Oh yeah. I mean, you know, but that's investment stuff. Like, that's all long-term, you know, you just leave it. You just leave it. You don't touch it. You're in it for the long haul, man. Like, I don't even look at those. Like, if I don't like, I know a lot of my friends have that stock, you know, they look at their stocks on their phone all day long. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do it. I'd have no hair. Like, so no, I look at quarterly statements, and I just know that's in it. That's in it for the long haul, man. Right. Because I got some friends who play that stuff daily, and they do really well. And I'm like, Godspeed, bro. I got way more other stuff I'd rather do. Yeah, than do the day trading. So, Joel Freeman, you're not just a fitness coach; you're a financial coach. No, don't put that on me. I know, I'm joking, but no, I just I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides. Thank you. I've been on both sides of it. I've been at the point. I've been there where I've had zero, so to speak, and, you know, I'm lucky enough to be in a place where we're comfortable and we're happy. Yeah. So, but I've been on both sides. I know what it feels like. I know, and I've done it more than once as well. So, it's that's why I just tell people is like, I'm not going to say exactly what you should do with it, but try not to overdo it.
Yeah. And obviously at the end of the day, none of us are financial advisors. We're not giving advice, but I think it's important that
half of them are guessing too. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. They are. And some of them, it's all speculation in some extent. But the important thing that you brought up is debt, credit cards, not maximize. Because I'm 23. I'd be lying if I told you there's times where you don't want to put everything on that credit card.
Sure.
You want to just get the shiny thing. So
yeah, I did. Yeah.
So as we transition here into the conclusion, I want to focus here right on the Gen Zs, the 21-year-olds. If obviously we're in a COVID time now, so you wouldn't be doing this physically, but if you were giving a commencement speech right now to a college class, what are you telling them? Like, what's your advice? They're just graduating.
Put me on the spot there. I think we kind of said it today, I think we kind of touched on a lot of that stuff. The main things are from a professional standpoint of just keeping the lines of communication open. You never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to talk to that will eventually can mean something in the future. Leveraging, those relationships and I think you said it in terms of networking, and being easy to work with, man, that goes so far. It really does. Word spreads fast of someone who's a dick to work with or work for. And especially this day and age, it spreads even faster. So I am a huge proponent of, I always, when I'm on set, and when I'm doing stuff, like, I know that I set the tone on set for my cast and my crew and my team and everybody. And it takes all of it. Like, I wouldn't be anything without those people. So I am always making sure that it's a positive atmosphere and positive set. Let's have fun and let's do this. And then when it comes time to work, we're going to work. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done right. And then when it's over, let's go to the bar. So I'll be the first person to buy you a round of drinks when it's done. So, but it's just being a good person, being easy to work with, man, goes so far. So that's what I would say from the professional standpoint. Financial standpoint, reiterate what I said is just, not to overextend yourself. And we all want the new shiny thing, but sometimes the slightly used shiny thing is just as good. And there will be that day where you can buy the used shiny thing or the new shiny thing without even thinking about it. But, at 18, 19, that's not usually the day. But just to keep going with it. And I think consistency, I think, what I've said about health and fitness is, I think you can use it in life, because I say that because that's what I've done, is I have found the things, the people that work for me and build me up and make me feel good and make me happy and things I can stick with consistently and that I know that contribute to my happiness long term. It includes my wife, it includes my friends and my, and I don't talk to the same people I talked to when I was 10 years ago, because those weren't the people that were building me up. So, I wasn't, you can't be afraid of making those changes. And but that consistency is what, just like in your workouts, what will lead you to success in your fitness, that type of consistency will lead you to success in your life, in your lifetime. And I truly believe that, because that's what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That's literally a commencement speech right there. The whole talk.
Well, if I ever get asked to do one, I'm going to go back and write this down.
I mean, that was like, there was so much advice there. Where do we invoice you for all this? Cause that's
man.
That's such good advice. You said the word workout.
Yeah, I think my grandfather used to say, give you a nickel's worth of free advice, something like that.
Something, $1 million worth of game for a penny. Gen Z said that too, or something. Right. But when you said the word workout, I got scared. I thought you were on the TV seeing me like stopping.
I already done it. Not yet. Not again. Not till tomorrow.
I also posted on social media that I was doing the interview with you, and I always like to take at least one question from people. Sure. I thought they would ask me some of the deepest things to ask you, but the one question I got asked, and a lot of times, is how's your relationship with Shaun T?
Yeah.
That was the question. Yeah.
Great. All of my relationships with trainers are amazing. Yeah. So, we have a phenomenal trainer team right now, where between, we've got Shaun, we got Abwala, Jericho and Autumn, and Dallas and Megan. And am I missing one? I'll get in trouble if I forget one. I think that's all of them. I'm sure I forgot one, but no, everyone's just great. And we all work together so well. No one's threatened by each other. Everyone knows that, Autumn's launching a program Autumn's launching a program right now. Shaun's launching his new program in the spring. And, it's the next trainer success means success for the company, which means the company's going to stick around, which means I'm going to get to create another program in the future, So we all know that. We all support each other. We all get along great. I love Shaun and Scott and the kids. And, when Shaun was here filming Transform 20 a couple of years ago, we had a great time because he was here in LA for a few months. And so we got to hang out, and then he and I did a collaborative calendar together, Live For and Transform 20. So I flew out to Arizona a couple of times, and we had a lot of fun. So I love him to death. He's great. He pushes me, outside my comfort zones, and I just give him shit for it. And, we have a great time. So he's a fun guy.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so the podcast is called The More We Know. I ask every single guest this towards the end. What's something that you wish you knew more about? Anything.
Something I wish I knew more about right now.
That's
a good question. I'm still in the learning phase a lot in, picking up in the world of dirt biking. I've got my buddies out in Texas that, they used to race motocross and things like that, and started trail riding and catching that bug. And so I know it's not a super deep thought of the more I know, but I've been loving it and getting more and more into it. And now I've got, all my own riding gear and eventually get my own bike.
Nice.
And, just getting used to it. And it's such a challenge. And I think that's what I love, is I love finding those challenges. And I know it's kind of a odd, I don't want to say odd time, but most times people are doing these things when they're in, earlier in their life. And I wasn't around this stuff when I was a kid. I didn't grow up having friends that did dirt bikes and all these different things. So now having this group that does do it has pushed me out of my zone in a whole new and different way. So that's just what I strive for, is to continue to push myself into new and different things. If it scares me, it means that I should probably try it. So I'm going to keep pushing myself.
Yeah. And don't we need that to be successful, to get pushed out of our comfort zone all the time?
Yeah. I mean, nothing ever happened. No changes never happen inside your comfort zone, right? We've heard that said before, and it goes back to, your health, your fitness. If you want to change your body, you got to change your mindset, and you got to make that effort. You got to make it worth it. You got to, if it's really, truly something you want to do, you're going to make time for it. You're going to make an effort. So you got to jump out. So if it's right here in your zone, it probably is going to be right here. And you got to get out of it. But then eventually it's going to become part of you, and you're going to be comfortable with it. And then you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah. That's great advice. What's your day look like, Joel Freeman? What's your daily success routine? Right now,
I smell like exhaust because I've been driving the car all day. But normally I wake up and I have my routine. We got 2 Bengal cats, so they're very needy, loud creatures. And so I have my morning routine. I have to brush them, and then I have to feed them, and I have to do all this stuff. So I wake up and I definitely get my workout in. I'm on social media nonstop all day long. When I'm in between building a program or doing anything with the program, which is where I am right now, that's my job, is just engaging people on social media nonstop. I'm always liking stories and responding to DMs, which is how we connected. Yep. So I'm always going through all my DMs. I'm always looking at all these different things that's I know right now, that's my job, is to continue to engage with people on social media. So that's pretty much my whole day. I work out in the morning, for the most part, get the workouts done in the morning, get that done. And then, I've been trying to come up with new things around the house to build and redo. I've already redone the deck and the gate like twice. So now I got to find something else to do. I love building stuff. So I'm always looking for new things to build as well. And then now that I got the car, I'll be looking for little tinkering things on that. And so just try to stay busy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Busy is good. Where can they find you on social media?
Social media, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Joel Freeman Fitness, all one word, JOEL Joel Freeman Fitness. Instagram is my main thing. Facebook, they're linked. Don't really look at it much, and then Twitter and stuff I don't really do. So I'm an Instagram guy. So Joel Freeman Fitness, that's where you can find me. And I tell everybody, it's like, if you start working out, if you start doing my programs, you got to tag me so I can see it. Because if you tag me, I'll see it, and I'll like it.
I'll tag you today.
I don't have anybody else doing my social media. It's just me. I can't. That's so weird to me. I can't ever think of someone else responding to messages that are addressed to me. It's just weird.
Right.
So I promise you, it's me.
Did you have that approach? Like, did someone offer to do it for you?
Yeah, I think a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
we did some stuff. I forget what it was. I tried a third party to get some posts done, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I could just tell instantly. I'm like, because I can tell when you go through someone's account, and like you're like, when that person's posting, when someone else posts for that person. So for me, posts don't take me very long. I'm pretty quick with it. I don't like. Probably could think it out. I could probably think it out a little bit better, but I just do what I feel right then and there and get it done. And as needed. And so I'm fairly organized, so that helps.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want anybody doing my social media but me.
Yeah. And Joel, I got to say, just the whole theme through this whole podcast, you're so authentic, you're so honest, and you're just really genuine. And it's hard to say that about, everyone that you meet. So it's awesome to get that from you. So we really appreciate that.
Man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
So that's Joel Freeman, celebrity trainer, fitness coach. Go try out his workouts. Do you got any new ones coming out that you can sneak peek for us or no?
No, nothing on the books yet, but we'll start. 10 rounds is still fairly new. It just came out in September, so we'll be pushing that and promoting that for this foreseeable future. And then sometime next year I'm sure we'll start chatting about something new.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's Joel Freeman. Yeah, awesome. That's Joel Freeman, guys. Go try the workouts. Two are out there right now on Beachbody On Demand. Just try them. You got nothing to lose. I guarantee you'll like it. And you'll like his jokes too in the workouts.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks for being on, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.